Anton Galkin with their strongest accomplishment to date on this season, former Charlotte Regional top 20 or 32, excuse me, and Orlando last year as well, top 32. You can add at minimum, bare minimum, top 4 of the Portland Regional Championships, and fingers crossed for them going even further. And we take a look at their team that Len was talking about was so important, so much damage provided from the Reggie Drago specifically, and then of course Nasty Pot Golden Go. Those are really the two options on Anton's end. And you mentioned the Scream Tail, Tornadoes, like all those supportive things here. You see, you know, Ogerpon Wellspring is actually, I think, had a really strong performance overall this weekend on stream in both of these 2 days. Do you think that is probably Ogerpon is like the most important way to help support Reggie Drago or Golden Go, or is it maybe, you know, Tornadoes is going to be more important?
Well, I feel like it's a very important middle ground piece because it both provides damage if that's needed in the given situation. But you can saw in the match against Joe how willing Anton is to just use Follow Me to make a couple of attacks go into the Ogerpon slot and enable a giant dragon energy. And spending Ogerpon that way is completely valid and is why Ogerpon is like the 4th member of that support. We also saw how important the Scream Tail support is because of Disable and Encore, really enabling Reggie Drago to find time.
And there is Alex Underhill, one of the most prominent trainers in the Masters Division over the last few generations of VGC, getting a finalist in 2022, as well as a 2-time regional champion and too many regional top cuts to count at this point for Alex. You see the combination of Entei and Dragonite with Chien Pao's Sword of Ruin. Alex decided not to choose between either of those extreme speed users for Chien Pao, wants both of them.
I know we're only 1 tournament into it, but this is the team that feels like Regulation F to me so far, with Chien Pao and Fluttermane, a bunch of priority moves behind it, a little bit of utility with the Ogerpon Follow Me, but it's something that is always threatening you. It's very difficult to speed control around it. We saw Tornadoes usage drop, and part of that is because with so many priority options, when you have both the Terra Normal Dragonite and the extreme speed of Entei on Alex's side, it's just hard to find the speed advantage against those.
All right, so let's get it started here in top 4. Alex Underhill versus Anton Galkin. Alex with the Chien Pao and Dragonite patented strategy compared to Anton's Incineroar and Ogerpon Wellspring.
Yeah, so interesting to see Anton not leading either of those major attackers, right? Has them both in the back, or maybe only one in the back, dedicating one for this match. Instead has Incineroar out here to intimidate the Chien Pao, and Ogerpon may be able to damage trade a little bit here if it gets an opportunity. Meanwhile, like you mentioned, Dragonite and Chien Pao both on the field, a ton of offense instantly underway for Alex. This is the kind of instant force of offense that you need to disrupt the kind of strategy that Anton is using to just threaten KOs and make sure that you're always trading in some kind of positive way.
Interestingly enough, Anton, the final Incineroar remaining in the tournament. So will Incineroar win this event? We'll find out if Anton can make it to the finals. There's a double target into said Incineroar, and it doesn't even make it through the first turn of game 1.
Yeah, Incineroar just left on an island. Ogerpon does not want to get doubled up into itself, would have loved to get some spiky shield recoil damage on one of these Pokemon, but Incineroar doesn't go for the fake out, doesn't want to, obviously cannot hit into the inner focus of Dragonite, doesn't want to run into a Ghost Terra on Chien Pao, so it tries to just maybe get a parting shot or an attack off there, and instead just gets doubled into and when it KO'd. Now we're back to something we've seen from Anton, the Ogerpon next to the Reggie Drago. There's room here for Steel Terrestrialization to reject the damage from, or reduce the damage from extreme speed along Follow Me to move other attacks over and then get a Dragon Energy off. But those kinds of trades are less worthwhile. They're less clear that they're in your advantage when you've already taken a 1 Pokemon deficit.
Right, down 4-3 from the beginning here. Alex feeling confident after picking up that knockout on turn 1. Decides not to swap out, instead will just Terrestrialize Dragonite into the normal typing, boosting the damage output provided from extreme speed now. And of course, because of Shield of Ruin being active on the field, that's going to lower all of Anton's Pokemon's defensive stats, which means that Ogerpon does not take that very healthily whatsoever. Another double target, another knockout. Anton has lost 2 Pokemon in 2 turns, and it's up to this Reggie Drago. Ogerpon went down to keep you healthy. Dragon Energy does enough to bring them very low, but doesn't KO Dragonite.
Yeah, really crucially, doesn't KO Dragonite, meaning that extreme speed is still available and was never going to KO the Qianpao because of the Focus Sash, meaning it's still the naturally, before Screamtail hits the field, fastest thing on the field and threatens Sucker Punch. But this is a lot of the value that we've seen Screamtail provide for Anton. When these Pokemon are left very low, Screamtail comes in and can try to get a KO with Dazzling Gleam, but you have to wonder if there's just enough damage from extreme speed and Sucker Punch here to try and prevent a Dazzling Gleam KO. Again, Ogerpon spent there for Anton in the way that we see him usually spend it. Spin to get a Follow Me to redirect those moves over and make sure that Regidrago can get a Dragon Energy off, and you get so much damage back for that. But because Incineroar went down on turn 1 before that happened, Anton is still in a bigger hole than when we've seen that same kind of play in earlier matches.
Qianpao will swap out at 1 HP thanks to its Focus Sash. It is able to hang around and come back later on in this match. Fluttermane will swap into that position on Alex's side of the field. Booster Energy will boost the special attack on Fluttermane's side, so that means it's going to be an even heavier hitter with those special attacks. Now it's time for Anton to terrestrialize into the steel typing on Regidrago. That means the extreme speed will be resisted into that slot if that is what Alex wanted to go for. But what's Anton's response? Screamtail protecting here on this turn. Did Dragonite target into Screamtail or into the Regidrago? And the answer is Regidrago. It's still resisted, but that's still not that's not terrible amounts of damage on the resisted side. Fluttermane's a fairy, takes no damage from Dragon Energy, and of course Dragonite's knocked out.
Yeah, so Dragonite goes down there, gets a resisted extreme speed off, but Anton, I think, smart to protect the Screamtail there and make sure that it wasn't the thing that went down on that turn. You can't leave Regidrago on an island by itself, not a Pokemon that plays well in that position. But I think Fluttermane coming onto the field is just really bad news for Anton. We've seen some Regidrago in the past with the Steel-type Terra Blast, so they can at least threaten Fluttermane a little bit more. Anton's does not have that. It's 2 Dragon moves, Earth Power, and Protect, meaning it's actually very difficult for him from this position to KO Fluttermane. You have like Earth Power and Dazzling Gleam from Screamtail, you're not going to get there. Maybe with Encore Disable kind of shenanigans, if you can make it struggle, you can make it KO itself, but it's a very difficult path for KOing Fluttermane. That's kind of the role that Golden Go plays on this team, is being able to threaten something like Fluttermane instead, but it wasn't brought in this game, and so it's really difficult to see how, regardless of the other Pokemon, they're going to be difficult for Anton to deal with, like this Ogerpon, how he can deal with the Fluttermane. Anton
goes for the double protect. It was only a 30% chance, and it does not get it, so this Shadow Ball will be super effective towards the Screamtail and bringing it down very low. Followed up with the Ivy Cudgel from Ogerpon, takes it out, and it is Regidrago versus the world right now with no super effective attack into either of Alex's Pokemon. Draco Meteor lands, completing the one-hit KO into Ogerpon. Important for Anton to note that going into the rest of this series, that Draco can one-hit the Ogerpon as long as it doesn't terrestrialize. But what are you going to do at -2 against Fluttermane?
I mean, lose, right? There's just no way to pack into this game. You can see the massive damage behind the Draco Meteor, what it can threaten, but Regidrago cannot be left on an island like this. I think Alex would really be smart to just understand that as Screamtail goes down, Regidrago is not going to be able to fight through this game by itself, and just puts a double target into it. It protected on the previous turn, it was vulnerable, doesn't get the double protect. Maybe if it got the double protect, there's a way back into this game, because there would have been 2 moves spent into a protect where Regidrago takes a KO, but instead Fluttermane's just going to be a little bit uncontested here trying to win this game, but won't need to get an attack off anyway as Sacred Sword lands and picks up that KO.
Yeah, Regidrago goes down, and Alex Underhill is 1 game away from making it to the Portland Regional Championship Finals against Chuppa. Feeling confident, took multiple KOs in those first 2 turns, and it looks like he just has momentum on his side. Anton is the one that needs to respond.
Yeah, Anton's going to need to make an adjustment. I don't think he can afford to lead as passive of a lead as he had in Game 1. Ogerpon and Incineroar next to each other just aren't really going to threaten Alex in any major way, and he's going to have spend resources with one of those 2 on the field. I think as difficult as it can be to try to commit to one of the offensive Pokemon on the field because you don't know what you're going to be up against, you kind of have to take that lottery in this matchup. I would expect to see him an adjustment to lead one of them and probably have both of them. I don't think you can rely on the Pokemon that Anton brought in that last game to deal with Fluttermane. There's really no reason for Alex to not bring the Fluttermane.
As we look at the replays, there was a double target into the Incineroar to knock it out before Anton was able to do anything on that turn. And then the following turn, double target into the Ogerpon Wellspring to take it out. So Alex was just, feeling very comfortable. Luckily didn't hit into spiky shields or anything, just right now feeling the momentum. And I wonder if, sure, Regidrago does so much damage, but if you're just gonna Terastallize Regidrago into the Steel type to help out your benefit, maybe just go with the Golden Go, who already starts out as a Steel type and has a better matchup into Flutter Mane.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's a really a two-part problem with the offense, because if you just commit to Golden Go, then it's extremely difficult to deal with Raging Bolt. If that's what Alex decides to bring, it resists Steel, is relatively bulky, and will be able to threaten priority moves back into Golden Go. I think if you're not going to bring both, you're going to have to get a little bit lucky about what Alex brings to the match.
Alex does adjust with Entei and Ogerpon Wellspring as his lead, compared to Anton deciding Golden Go is going to lead the keys to victory with Ogerpon Wellspring.
Yeah, so Anton commits, he leads one, it's the Golden Go, and he gets the lottery wrong. These are not two Pokemon the Golden Go wants to see on the other side. Both resist Make It Rain, the Entei threatening a Sacred Fire that can't be defensively Terastallized out, and so Anton is instantly on the back foot, took a shot with what lead. If that had been Flutter Mane on the other side, he's in a much better position. If it had been Chien Pao on the other side, he's still in a much better position, but this is not a strong position for him.
To the benefit, though, at least your Ogerpon has a super effective Ivy Cudgel into Entei potentially, so Golden Go just wants to protect on this turn. Horn Leech, though, from Alex's Ogerpon means it wins the speed tie first. And Sacred Fire, it dodges it. It's a really low chance for Sacred Fire to miss, but it's absolutely crucial that Entei missed that. It barely hangs on from the Ivy Cudgel on Anton's end.
Yeah, Alex completely has the read there, understands the Golden Go is under threat and not really threatening that much damage back, so just tries to prey on the Ogerpon, clicks the double target in there, but Sacred Fire misses. Maybe wouldn't have picked up the KO anyway, but would have definitely meant a lot more damage back onto the Ogerpon on Anton's side. Instead, that becomes a pretty good turn for Anton. He gets a lot of damage onto the Entei, who's otherwise a very big problem for this Golden Go.
Follow Me from Ogerpon Wellspring means the second Horn Leech on Alex's end will go towards that direction. And finally, there's the Sacred Fire animation. It does land for Alex, and Ogerpon is down. Anton already down the Pokemon right now 4-3, just like game one. However, this time around, Golden Go was able to raise its special attack by 2 stages from the Nasty Plot.
Yeah, Golden Go using the Follow Me to protect itself from the Sacred Fire and getting the boost. Now has a second support Pokemon next to it. That's the great thing about supporting with Follow Me, so that means one of those will go down and you'll get a free on-ramp for the next level of support. We see at the preview of a 4 Pokemon Anton brought, there's going to be 3 supportive options next to the Golden Go. So it's really all eggs in this Golden Go basket. Now has 2 boosts, but really is going to have to avoid taking a Sacred Fire here. And Screamtail is just the right tool to do that, able to disable the Sacred Fire, at least for this turn. There's no Protect available. You could have an Extreme Speed come out from the other side, but of course that would just be an Extreme Speed into Screamtail. You can't Extreme Speed the Golden Go, so while it might allow you to get a different move disabled, it's not going to immediately provide any pressure against the Golden Go.
Screamtail is a Pokemon that, as a paradox, there was a lot of hopes coming into Scarlet and Violet around Screamtail, and it kind of comes in and out of waves of viability and popularity, and Anton's trying to bring the Screamtail back into style. But for now, Alex will Terastallize Ogerpon Wellspring, increasing its special defense by 1 stage thanks to that Embody aspect that will somewhat counteract Golden Go's Nasty Plot on the last turn. But no Shadow Ball, no Make It Rain, just to protect. The Extreme Speed from Entei into Screamtail does not do a lot, and now Ogerpon has been encored after Terastallizing. It went for the Horn Leech on the prior turn, so that does not nearly as much damage as a potential Ivy Cudgel would have.
Yeah, not nearly as much damage into Screamtail. Alex was probably looking there to just pick up a Terastallized boosted Ivy Cudgel that would have done a ton of damage into Screamtail, maybe put it into Extreme Speed KO range. Instead, the Encore is smart because it also means that Incineroar or Golden Go are much safer into this Ogerpon. Entei, of course, just picked up an Extreme Speed there, didn't want to get Sacred Fire disabled. But the great thing about the duo of Disable and Encore and Screamtail is now that Extreme Speed can just be encored, and you can continue to prevent Sacred Fire from landing into Golden Go. That may end up coming at the cost of Screamtail if Alex makes the right play, something like an Extreme Speed plus, oh, the Dazzle, it's enough damage.
Yeah, it's the fastest Pokemon in Entei. The critical hit, I think even with the Salt Vest, Entei was so low. I understand it's resisted, but Entei goes down on that turn. Horn Leech into Screamtail brings it into the red, but with no critical hit. Screamtail gets to stick around on this turn. Now a +2 Shadow Ball into the +1 special defense Ogerpon. It does just over half to Ogerpon and gets a special defense drop as well. So really not a great turn for Alex, but Fluttermane can definitely turn the tides.
Yeah, Fluttermane comes in here and wants to again put pressure onto the Golden Go. I'd be fascinated to see the world where that Dazzling Gleam doesn't crit the Entei. I know it was so low, but it's also Assault Vest and resisted, and Screamtail not the most offensive Pokemon. I think it would have been very close and would have been a very pivotal moment if Entei was able to hang on and get a Sacred Fire off onto Golden Go. That probably was game and match deciding. But one way or another, it goes down on that turn, and Anton has another fairly successful turn, gets a lot of damage onto the Ogerpon and gets a KO onto Entei.
Now it's finally time for Anton to terrestrialize his Golden Go. Before, there was really no reason to lose that Ghost typing. Of course, now that Fluttermane is on the field, you do not want to be weak to the Fluttermane. So it's Terra Steel time from this Golden Go. Alex is just going to protect his Fluttermane here on this turn, and then the disable from a Screamtail. This is why it's so pesky and so annoying to deal with, because you encore it into Horn Leech and then disable Horn Leech. Now the Ogerpon can't do anything. Make It Rain, though, is going to connect onto this Ogerpon Wellspring, getting the boost from being a Steel type there. Same type attack bonus, and you don't need to disable it anyway because it's going back to the Pokeball.
Yeah, I mean, I think the disable was important there. The Ogerpon faster and would have been able to try to KO Screamtail. The fact that Screamtail stays on the field means that now Fluttermane just protected itself. It's slower than the Screamtail. There's nothing stopping an Encore into that slot. That will just keep Fluttermane, there's no switches left available. It will keep Fluttermane using Protect for the rest of maybe the match, but Chien-Pao at least comes in and provides Alex a little bit more backbone in this match, threatens a lot of damage against all three Pokemon that we know are left, and has the Focus Sash, meaning despite a boost and a terrestrialization, Chien-Pao still won't go down to 1 Make It Rain.
So it's such a difficult spot for Alex because it's different than other supportive Pokemon, right? With Screamtail, you can try to protect from Spore or Taunt or Will-O-Wisp or Thunderwave or something like that. But when you try to play it safe against Screamtail, you actually make your situation a little more difficult because of the value that Encore can give to you there. So Screamtail will Encore Fluttermane into that Protect now for the next few turns, meaning Fluttermane is essentially not doing anything on the field, and Chien-Pao takes out this Screamtail so it can no longer be a nuisance to Alex's side of the field. However, that does mean Golden Go is completely free to make it rain onto both of Alex's Pokemon, one-hit KOing the Fluttermane and bringing Chien-Pao down to the Sash.
Yeah, you can see what Alex had in mind there. If Fluttermane's able to get the double protect, Chien-Pao finishes off Screamtail, removes the threat of the Encore, and Fluttermane will be free to go on the offense against Golden Go in the following turn, but doesn't get the double protect, and so instead, Make It Rain just lands for so much damage. It'll be somewhat trivial to pick up this last 1 HP of damage. Chien-Pao only a single targeting Pokemon, and maybe can't one-hit KO either of these anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Chien-Pao just going to protect. Might as well take these next couple of seconds to formulate your game plan going into Game 3. These are some of the differences from the top level trainers is don't get tilted, don't worry about, oh, would that critical hit have mattered or whatever. Take this additional moment you essentially have on top of all of the Game 3 team preview to figure out your strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd be a little bit worried if I was in Alex's shoes because it felt like he had the lead right. We talked before the match that the lead could be really decisive in this matchup, but he led 2 pretty good answers to Golden Go against the Golden Go and still ended up losing this game. Now, a big part of that is that turn 1 play. Entei would have been a kind of long-term thorn in Golden Go's side, resisting Make It Rain, being very bulky, threatening Sacred Fire that can't be defensively terrestrialized out of. But on turn 1, Anton was able to land an Ivy Cudgel into Entei and deal with so much of that health bar. Now, maybe aided by a Sacred Fire miss. I'm not sure how much damage that would have done back to the Ogerpon, depending on how the 2 Pokemon are trained, but it's a really pivotal turn 1 that I think Alex needs to be a little bit more careful of in the future. You can't allow a supportive Pokemon like the Ogerpon to deal such a crucial chunk of the damage.
So far, Alex has not brought Raging Bolt into either of these first 2 games, so if you're Anton, do you pick up on that tendency and assume, hey, Golden Go was so strong, there's a real possibility I could be concerned about a potential Entei Fluttermane lead, you know, and you say, well, either it's a Steel type, Entei can handle you, or you remain as a Ghost type and Fluttermane can handle you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of leads that threaten Golden Go. probably more of them than threaten the Regidrago. But I think the Golden Go has other things going for it. The ability to boost its damage, the extreme speed immunity built in, so that it doesn't have to spend a defensive Terastallization or worry too much about the extreme speeds when it's Entei and Dragonite on the other side of the field, and a little bit more damage variation, right? Being able to switch between Shadow Ball. We saw how important the Shadow Ball into the Ogerpon that had Terastallized on Alex side of the field was, because it dealt more than half of the health bar and didn't cost Golden Go a stage of special attack the way Make It Rain had, where Regidrago is a little bit more one note. It has the Earth Power to cover specific things like King Gambit, but it probably isn't that relevant in this matchup, so it's really just Dragon offense coming out.
This is as close as it gets between Alex and Anton. One final match between these two trainers will determine the victor and who will go on to face Chup across the 4th in the finals here at the Portland Regional Championships. Alex leading Entei, Ogerpon, Wellspring compared to Anton's Regidrago and an Ogerpon of their own.
Yeah, so Alex sticks with the same, says I could have beaten Golden Go and Ogerpon with what I led in the last game if things had gone a little bit differently, but it's not Golden Go and Ogerpon on the other side. Now it's Regidrago and Ogerpon, and there's immediately just a massive damage threat. Entei has the Assault Vest. Ogerpon can use a Terastallization to get a special defense boost of its own, so they're maybe not threatened by one-hit KOs from the Dragon Energy, but it would still be a ton of damage coming back on the other side. And if Anton spins the Follow Me, all you can really do is threaten the Ogerpon back. You can't actually get to the Regidrago this turn.
Entei is Terra Grass, so that would be one way to counteract an Ivy Cudgel on Anton's side. However, Terra Grass does nothing to stop Dragon Energy and a Draco Meteor there.
Yeah, you have to imagine in this position it's all about the Dragon Energy, and so I think it makes a ton of sense to bring the Flutter Mane in here. That's one way to mitigate the Dragon Energy coming in.
Flutter Mane, a Fairy type, would resist, or not even resist, just straight up immune to a Dragon attack if that is what Anton wants to go for. Special attack boost to the Flutter Mane. Sacred Fire onto the Ogerpon, 50% chance to burn, and it finally lands in favor of Alex, burning Anton's Ogerpon Wellspring. Here's the attack now. Gonna ignore Flutter Mane and do just over half to Entei. So it looks like it is a 2-hit KO. You're not even gonna need it though, because Ivy Cudgel through the burn takes out Entei.
Yeah, so Anton finding the space there. He's shown Follow Me so consistently, so much that Alex has to expect that's the most likely thing. He also forced respect of the just protect plus attack with the turn 1 of the last game. And so there's space to now just attack with both Pokemon, which means he can get the double up into the Entei and get it KO'd this turn. I do think the burn is pretty relevant. Ogerpon might have been able to threaten a KO back into Flutter Mane, or at least pretty substantial damage back into Flutter Mane. If it is up to Regidrago and support Pokemon to deal with Flutter Mane, any source of damage is really important. But we got a little bit of preview there that there is the Golden Go in the back. There's both pieces of offense this time, and so I think that makes this an even better start for Anton, because you don't have to figure out how Regidrago deals with Flutter Mane. You let Regidrago deal with the things that it's able and wants to deal with, and let Golden Go be a problem for the future, or Flutter Mane be a problem for the future.
Right, let Regidrago deal with everything else, and then have your Golden Go deal with the Flutter Mane. Definitely a sound strategy, and important of Anton to condition Alex in this match. Game 1, only Regidrago. Game 2, only Golden Go. Now is Alex prepared for the onslaught that the Regidrago and Golden Go combination can bring. He will on this turn Spiky Shield on the Ogerpon Wellspring, which is essentially just a protect. Anton says, hey, not a bad idea. I might as well Spiky Shield as well. So the only option for an attack is the Flutter Mane. Shadow Ball into the Golden Go switch-in. That's super effective, and Golden goes down. One-hit KO. Alex just gets a huge advantage.
That may be match deciding right there. I don't know if that is a prediction that Golden Go is coming into that slot, a prediction that Regidrago might use a Steel Terastallization to get away from super effective fairy damage, but one way or another, Anton took the risk of sending Golden Go onto the field in the face of Flutter Mane and pays an enormous price for it. That Shadow Ball lands into Golden Go. A moment ago we were talking about the fact that Regidrago didn't have to solve the Flutter Mane problem. It could leave the Flutter Mane problem for Golden Go. That is no longer the case. Regidrago has to solve the Flutter Mane problem itself, and we saw in Game 1 how impossible that can be.
Alex just trying to cover both of his bases. Either the Regidrago terrestrializes into a steel type, therefore Shadow Ball will do more damage than obviously a resistant Moonblast would, or like it played out for Alex, you get the swap in on the Golden Go, and one of Anton's best answers, especially pretty much his best answer to Flutter Mane, is completely gone. So now this burned Ogerpon is also in a disadvantageous position against Alex, meaning Anton has to swap it out in this moment. What can Screamtail do in this set to bring Anton back in? It's been his trusty support Pokemon. We have not seen the Tornadus at all. Incineroar was only on the field for one turn in this set. It really is all up to Screamtail support to bring this back.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting opportunity here that if the Draco Meteor were to land and KO the Ogerpon, then maybe the Screamtail can switch in and find the right timing and just Encore Flutter Mane into something it doesn't want to be Encored into. And in that case, this Terastallization on Ogerpon makes so much sense, gets the defense boost, and makes it really difficult to take Ogerpon off the field this turn, but no damage coming in that way anyway. Regidrago just protecting itself.
Yeah, so does Flutter Mane go for a Shadow Ball? No, it's just a Dazzling Gleam into this. It's only going to hit the Screamtail, who's such a bulky Pokemon, an incredible HP stat as well, meaning the double target only just barely brings it down under half.
Yeah, that's health bar, very crucial health bar disappearing. Screamtail, kind of a pivotal piece for managing what Alex is doing each turn. If Alex has free reign to just use the attacks that he wants at the speed that he has, then this Regidrago has no chance in this match. We saw that Alex is prioritizing that earlier points in the game, like the double target in game one, where he just prioritized get Screamtail off the field, Ben Regidrago simple to deal with, and dealing Screamtail's more than half of Screamtail's health bar on the switch in is going to be really helpful for that. That means now either Flutter Mane or Ogerpon will be able to just take Screamtail off the field with one more attack.
And now, as we saw Anton leaning towards the Encore into Flutter Mane, wants to keep Flutter Mane clicking fairy attacks against this Terra Steel Regidrago. The Pokemon that has gotten Anton to top 4 of the Portland Regional Championships going to have to rely on some heavy lifting from this legendary. Follow Me will redirect the Encore towards Ogerpon, however, meaning this Flutter Mane is able to click whatever it wants on this turn. It's the Shadow Ball. That's a neutral hit. Remember, a special attack boost as well from the booster energy brings Regidrago down, and the Draco Meteor miss. Ogerpon takes no damage.
Yeah, Ogerpon taking no damage here is just devastating for Anton. It may not have been the KO anymore with Ogerpon boosting itself, but it would have been valuable to kind of come back in this game. Follow Me is just so smart there from Alex to really mitigate anything this Screamtail can do. It needs to be able to land Encore and disable into specific targets, but Follow Me is going to take several turns to get there. You could eventually disable the Follow Me and then get to Flutter Mane, but then it will all be over. And so Sid Flutter Mane just protects itself for this turn, does manage to find a protect for this Shadow Ball.
Yeah, that Shadow Ball is going to do no damage because Screamtail protected itself. Now, finally, Draco Meteor lands, and we can see how much damage it does. It is not a one-hit KO thanks to the Embody aspect being so pivotal for Ogerpon Wellspring.
Yeah, in fact, so little damage that maybe if you look at half of that with Regidrago now at -2 special attack, it might be a little bit close on whether it picks up the KO or not. And of course, Ogerpon's still free to just keep Follow Meing. Screamtail protected itself on the last turn, a pretty important protect because it's the only reason Screamtail is still on the board. But it means that Ogerpon will Follow Me again this turn. There's nothing stopping Flutter Mane from just Shadow Balling one of these targets or the other.
Screamtail going for a double protect, but it fails. So the Screamtail cannot keep itself safe from the Flutter Mane. Alex will, of course, Follow Me since he was encored into that slot. Here's the Shadow Ball from Flutter Mane, and Screamtail is down. So one of Anton's best supportive Pokemon is no longer available in this match. Here's the next Draco Meteor at -2 special attack into Ogerpon. It still picks up the KO, but now you're -4, and the only way you have any damage on the Flutter Mane is a non-same type attack bonus Earth Power.
Yeah, non-same type attack bonus Earth Power from -4 special attack is just not going to cut it against a full health Flutter Mane. And then your other Pokemon go all the way back to turn 1 is a burnt Ogerpon from taking a Sacred Fire. And in fact, both of these Pokemon likely in Shadow Ball KO range, and definitely both of them in KO range for an attack from this Chien-Pao, which still has its Focus Sash intact. The speed is in Alex's favor. The damage is in Alex's favor. This game is in Alex's favor.
Yeah, Anton locks in the forfeit, and Alex Underhill will be moving on to the finals of the Portland Regional Championships. The two-time regional champion looking to pick up his third this weekend.